Hey guys, in this video, I want to talk about potentially the simplest way you can detail the exterior of a car, as well as how to talk to a customer regarding an issue like this. And we want to talk about the products and the tools that I use in a process like this, just to give you guys the lowdown of everything you might need. So first of all, let's just get a little bit of context here. This is a little bit older BMW, not super old, but a little bit older BMW, and this was an interior and exterior detail, and the interior was fairly straightforward. It wasn't super dirty or anything like that, but didn't get any good videos of the interior, just the exterior here. And when I was on the phone with a customer, she said something that I thought was really video worthy because it actually happens all the time. The customer said, "Hey, I want an interior detail done, and by the way, this is very characteristic, and this is something I've noticed just across the board. Most women that I've spoken to over the phone tend to be more concerned about the interior of their vehicle, and most men that I've spoken to tend to be more concerned about the exterior of their vehicle. This is not always the case, but this has been definitely the majority of my experience, and a lot of that actually has to do with kids and things like that. But anyway, that being said, the customer said something that is often said, "Hey, I want the interior of my car done. I want an interior detail done, and I'd like the exterior done, but I'm not as concerned with it. I would love just like a quick wash with the exterior." How many times have you guys heard the customer say, "I just want a quick wash on the exterior"? If you're a pro detailer, comment below and tell me, yes, I've heard that 1,000 times. If you've heard that a lot, comment below, I've heard that 1,000 times, because I want to know if I'm the only one. This is something that you're going to experience as a mobile auto detailer happen all the time. Because people don't know the nature of detailing, they use language like, "Oh, I just want a simple wash," or "I just want a quick wash," or "the outside isn't really that dirty, shouldn't take too much time." They don't detail vehicles on a daily basis, so truth be told, they don't know what they're saying. They don't know what that means exactly. And really, in my experience, what the customer is trying to do in a situation like this is, and understandably so, reduce the price because they don't think it's going to be any big deal, or it's going to take a lot of time, or it can just be something you throw in really quickly. And so it is in this point in the conversation where I will take things down a road that sounds something like this. So just to give you guys a little mock conversation of what it was like in this particular situation, as well as what it's like in a lot of phone conversations, it goes something like this. "Hey Luke, yeah, I'd really love my interior to be done. It's tan, so there's a few stains here and there. It's nothing crazy. And then I'm not that concerned about the exterior, but I would like just a quick wash and wax, just because since you're already here, I figure we can kind of include that as part of the package." And I'll respond with something like this. "Hey, customer A, I totally understand. Yes, we'll definitely get the interior done for you. In fact, I'd love if when we get off the phone, would you just shoot me some pictures of the interior just so that I can see exactly what we're dealing with as far as the condition here? I totally understand what you mean by it not being that dirty. Generally speaking, every single car I see is in just very average condition, but I always like to confirm with pictures just because I don't ever want to show up to your house, finish the detail, and surprise you with some sort of price that you weren't expecting." Now, as far as the exterior goes, I would be more than happy to do a wash and wax for you, but just to explain a little bit, and at the risk of sounding a little over communicative, and you can tell me if I do at any time, when it comes to a wash and wax, I am going to have to not only fully wash the car, but also prepare the car with something called a clay bar before we wax it, if it's not taken care of on a regular basis. Because when you don't do that, oftentimes it's kind of like trying to apply wax to a piece of sandpaper. It's very difficult to get off because of all the tiny little grooves and minerals that are on the sandpaper that make it sandpaper. In the same way, we have to really make sure your car is clean before we can just kind of arbitrarily apply wax to it. And then at the same time, if we do the wash and wax and it's really shiny and looks great afterwards, but we don't make sure we take time on things like the wheels, wheel wells, tires, then the dirt in those areas just looks really emphasized and really highlighted. And so I would love to do the exterior detail for you included with the interior. I'm just going to have to charge you for a full detail. Does that make sense? And this way, what I'm doing is not only setting the expectation, but I'm also giving them a little bit of a justification of the price that I'm going to lay on them. Because truth be told, here's been my experience with almost every single customer. Yes, there are people who are cheap in the world, and there are people who are radically cheap. They're trying to pinch a dollar from a penny, and it's never going to happen, and you're not going to do business with those people. But most people, when they react negatively or maybe just not totally in a positive way to the price you give, oftentimes it is because you haven't properly justified the price previously before giving it to them. So when I explain to the customer, basically what I'm trying to do is take what the customer just told me. Hey, Luke, I want to wash and wax real quick. I take that piece of information and say, hey, I would love to do that for you. Let me just explain a little bit of what that is and why I do it the way I do it. Then they completely understand. When you're talking to rational, normal people, that is not an issue. They completely understand. So in this situation, the customer said, hey, this is actually exactly a great situation or a great example of what I'm talking about here. This exact thing happened with this customer, and here I am detailing their car. Why? Because we're doing business together. Why? Because she wants to do business even after having the phone call conversation. Because when you explain things in detail to a customer like this, they completely understand and they move forward with you. Not everyone is like that, but once again, most rational, normal people just want a simple explanation, a simple justification for price. Now, just really quickly, for those of you guys wondering what products and tools I'm using here, you're going to continue to see more and more throughout this video, but it's super, super basic and super simple. This is probably my most basic exterior detail that exists. And in this particular situation, I am using basically a list of tools and products from my essential tools and products list. If you want to get that list, go below. I have a free guide on how to start your auto detailing business for under $500 using the most basic tools and products that exist that I think are not only fundamental for anyone beginning in the business, they're absolutely necessary, but they're also extremely straightforward and simple. So go below in the YouTube description box, there's a link, and there you'll find my free guide right there. You just have to join the email list and you will get access to that very, very simply. Now, having said that, after I finish with the wheels, tires, and wheel wells here, I am going to be using an Optimum no rinse, waterless, or rinseless wash solution to get this car wash done. Now, why is that? Well, if you guys follow the channel and you watch any of my videos, you know that I don't approach any two cars the same. Each car is its own kind of individual circumstance, individual scenario, and it has to be weighed on a case-by-case basis. So while I do not always do this method or use an Optimum no rinse waterless wash solution, I did in this case because a couple reasons. Number one, if you were in person with this car, you would see that this car is basically never washed. It is not taken care of in any capacity, and so it's got a ton of imperfections. It's riddled with swirls, riddled with top kind of hairline surface scratches, riddled with what we call rids, random isolated deep scratches. And then if you saw the front bumper as well, tons and tons of bug etchings, rock chips, tree sap etchings, all that sort of stuff that you can imagine if you've seen vehicles on a daily basis. And then outside of that, particularly the rocker panels behind each wheel underneath the paint almost, there's so much dirt that has been hit over and over and over in that area that while it looks clean in the video, in the shade, in the garage here, there is a ton of chipping as well as just overall etching and staining in that area. So as I'm doing this, there's just no reason for me to foam it down and use a 2-bucket wash method with the pre-rinsing and all of that sort of stuff. I can accomplish things in a much more simplistic way and in a way that's a win-win for my customer and myself, because in many ways in the detailing world, detailers will kind of die on the hill of you have to do it this way every single time. And the variable in that equation that is not being accounted for is the customer's time. What you don't realize is that there are a lot of people in the world who value their time a lot more than they value the condition of their paint on their car. In this case, this is one of those things. So you can see even on the front bumper here in certain areas or certain parts of the front bumper bumper here, the rock chips and everything I'm talking about, I just finished claying this area, and I'm only going to clay this area and other specific areas that need it. The entire thing doesn't need it, but the roof needs it, the hood needs it, the front here needs it, and different areas, but certain areas were completely fine, and so I didn't waste my time doing the entire vehicle, but I skipped forward in the video as well just a little bit to kind of cut to the chase here. And then I'm just going to be using my Meguiar's Synthetic Express spray wax to finish and kind of seal in the paint. Now, what's my point here? Well, this is probably, like I said in the beginning of this video, the most simplistic way to approach an exterior detail. And what's probably more interesting to be said here is that this is actually exactly what my customer wanted in this situation. How is that? Well, because customers are not nearly as concerned with the things that detailers are concerned with, the way that detailers are concerned with them. We spend hours and hours and hours talking about things like swirl marks and deep scratches and hairline scratches and whether or not you're scratching the wheel with the brush you're using. And while all of those things, of course, are important in the detailing world, there is also an equally valid and potentially even more important conversation that needs to be had when it comes to your detailing business and dealing with people in the real world. So it's kind of like in school. You're like, are we ever going to use this in the real world? A lot of times that's what's happening in the detailing world. We're talking about things from a textbook. We're talking about things in a classroom setting. And unfortunately, the real world does not exist in a vacuum. You're dealing with real people, with real vehicles, with real dirt, with real situations, with real differences, and therefore everything must be approached in a specific way and not necessarily the same way every single time. In fact, I'd argue if you approach the car, any car you see or any customer you see in the same way every single time, you will inevitably fail in the detailing business because it is so subjective. And so this is my way of meeting my customers' expectations, exceeding my customers' expectations, honestly, and at the same time, winning their business, winning social media content from this moment, winning a review from them in this moment, winning another person to put through my maintenance client funnel in the moment, and of course, creating instant revenue in the business from this detail itself. It's also a way for me to conserve my own energy. You guys know, if you've been detailing for any length of time, there is a huge conversation that's not being had, and that is, how can I implement tools and products in my business that conserve energy, that conserve time, where I leave the vehicle or leave the situation not feeling like my back is breaking and my knees are aching. And no, I didn't mean to rhyme there, but it sounded really, really good. And part of that has to do with the tools and products that I'm implementing in a situation like this. So again, guys, get that free guide below in the YouTube description box. It'll take you to that landing page where you can stick your email in and it'll be sent right to your email. It's all the products and tools that are not only necessary fundamentally in any auto detailing business, particularly mobile, but also how to get the right ones for under $500 so you stop wasting money on things that aren't working. And that is where you want to be. Go check out that guide in the YouTube description box below. Of course, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the Wilson Auto Detailing community and you haven't yet subscribed, but you love everything auto detailing and especially auto detailing business content, then go ahead and smash that subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you get notified when I publish future videos, which, by the way, right now in the summertime is every other day. And if you like this information, hit the like button, because did I mention this information was free? Totally free. Just like the guide below, it's totally free. All of this is totally free. So hey, smash the subscribe button, smash the like button, and if you like the content and you understand what I'm talking about in this video, comment below and say, yes, I get it. That has happened to me 1,000 times. Luke, I'm totally jiving with you. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and as always, from Luke here at Wilson Auto Detailing, keep working hard, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Yeah, yeah.